Hello and welcome back to Let's Play Pillars of Eternity with me, Bring It On. Let's continue exploring the tower.
I'm ready. Stones the next.
Let's go! Let's go! Let's go!
I'd say that's the last mistake they'll ever make, but they've probably heard that before.
Margaret's fire casts light in dark places.
Nice and quiet.
Page from Aldhelm's journal. Day 2. We completed our measurements of the machine, thanks to Trindig's youthful agility. Further examination is required to discover its intended use. There's the way forward.
You might find this interesting.
I'm ready.
Nothing to it.
Keeping quiet.
Adding the scratchy old coverlet thickens the air with dust. No one has used this bed in weeks. And what's happened to Aldhelm and Trindig? You go ahead and pop this.
I'm ready.
There we go.
Hey. Hey.
Stones the next.
I folded page from Aldhelm's journal. Day 10. Patrons grow impatient with the lack of quantifiable results. They should drag themselves out of their mansions and spend a few nights here if they think it's so easy. pulling, pounding energy, and the machine feels even stronger up here.
Be cautious. Be constant.
Letter from Acantha. She's the woman down in the house in Heritage Hill, the one that had the prisoners. Aldhelm. I did indeed receive your recent summons, as well as the 2 that came before it. I've been waiting for you to present yourself on my doorstep, so I could give you my answer in person. A firm and unwavering no. I won't help you. In fact, I relish the idea of you and your team of glorified engineers sitting in that tower, sweating over the runes I've studied for years. Nothing gives me greater pleasure than knowing that my research, which you've long disparaged, is the missing piece in your mundane little puzzle. As you well know, it's knowledge I've always valued. I'm just around the corner. I encourage you to find me should you wish to rehash this conversation in person. Yours truly, Acantha. A Sigil of the Arcane. Grants Arcane Dampener 1 per rest and +1 intellect. Alright, give that to my main character. He does not have an intellect bonus yet.
Huh?
Slow and silent.
Okay, another way forward.
Keeping an eye out.
Alright, page from Aldhelm's journal, day 11. Finally got out of the tower to clear our heads. Be safe the patrons. We'll finish the study on our own terms, our own time. Just as I said as much to Trendig, the sky came to life with stray lighting. It's supposed to be lightning, right? I said it's a good omen, but the poor lad spooked. Only cure for that is a good night's sleep.
Keeping an eye out.
I've read that before.
Light, flame, and sound.
The Works of the Ingwithans, a comprehensive guide.
Light, flame, and sound.
The scroll contains a pen and ink diagram of the Aedra device running through the tower. Despite copious measurements and carefully drawn detail, it gives no indication of the machine's purpose.
Keep to ourselves.
Slow and silent.
Light, flame, and sound. Keep to ourselves.
Steady does it.
Oh, there's Aldhelm.
Let's try this configuration.
A man hunches over the strange mechanism, his spine a sharp ridge, rising from his arched back. He's barely clothed in filthy rags, and the patches of skin you see are mottled green. A spoiled stench emanates from him. He's so intent on his work that he doesn't notice you until your shadow falls over him. When he turns and sees you, he snarls and scuttles behind the Aedra pedestal. Only his bare teeth seem to have escaped decay. His eyes are yellowed and bloodshot, but they flicker with intelligence. He averts his gaze and holds a hand in front of his face.
Shouldn't be here. What do you want?
Who and what are you? He closes his eyes and holds the sides of his head. 15 years at Brackenbury. 7 tours to the ruins beyond Solace Vale. His eyes snap open. I'm an animancer. Still an animancer. His gaze lights on the Aedra post with sudden recognition. He starts to turn back to the copper dials. Tell me what happened here.
That's what I'm trying to figure out.
He hisses. He smashes a fist into the Aedra pillar. His hand makes a crunching noise, but doesn't bleed.
Forgive me. Forgive me.
He covers his face with his other hand.
Research. We came to do research on the tower. Some commission from gods. It hardly matters now.
He clenches his fists in concentration. Given the catastrophe that followed, the commission and your research might matter a great deal. Stick to the present. When did the disaster start?
Something happened on our 11th night. Lights in the sky and a static charge in the air. But we were so careful. We were staying in the chambers below. Trindig, my assistant, said he saw a robed figure lurking around the tower. Wore a mask. Carried knives at his sides. A trick of shadows, I told him. The next morning, we felt strange. Like we hadn't eaten in weeks. So dazed that we didn't at first notice the blood around our beds. The strange wounds that had appeared overnight.
So maybe that note did mean lighting, not lightning.
And the machine. This cursed spire. Dormant for 2,000 years. Lifeless through hundreds of our experiments. And we wake that morning to find it spinning on its own. On its own! How can we stop what we couldn't start? Years I've been doing this. Years. I know how these things work, but I don't know how this happened. Nowhere to go. That's the problem. Their souls are trapped here like flies in a jar, clinging to rotting meat.
He turns to you in a sudden burst of passion. He gazes at the forsaken district beneath the tower, and he gestures at the streets. Slow down. What does the machine have to do with souls?
No time to slow down. But I can explain. Hold a magnet over iron splinters and they stick, yes? Rub your hand over weir wool and the hair of your head will follow it. So it is with this machine.
A tremor of frustration runs through his face, and he looks at you and runs his tongue along the edges of his fine, strong teeth. He quickly looks away.
It has the power to manipulate souls, but why? For what? And how many others lie buried in the ruins of Erglonfath? No. Focus on this one. It's imprisoned our souls in our bodies. Cut the root between essence and flesh. Left a dwindling soul stuck in a shriveling husk.
He screws his fist into his eyes. You're not like the ghouls in the street.
Not yet. But I will be. My body is dead. My soul, imprisoned in this corpse, only makes it seem otherwise. And as the body decays, so does the mind. Until nothing is left but the hunger. The only way to forestall the process is through a regular infusion of essence. Living flesh is the only ready supply.
Something gurgles in Aldhelm's throat, and he grimaces. He heaves and retches, eyeing you strangely.
I'm not proud of any of it. Hunting men and women in the early days of the affliction. Picking off soldiers that came to investigate. But I'd do it again. I'll do it as long as I must to end this disaster.
One shaky hand scratches at his bare, sore-eaten chest.
You could help. Help me end this. Help me find sustenance.
His eyes glitter, and he licks his lips with a cracked and shriveled tongue. What happened to the rest of your team?
By the time I realized what had happened, the district had already been sealed. So we fed when we needed, and locked ourselves in the tower to work. And then there came a time when the hunger struck, and there was hardly anyone left.
There was a stranger in the tower the night this happened.
I didn't see him. My assistant, he saw him. We laughed. Said he was spooked by the cemetery. Perhaps it was already too late. I don't know what he did, but by morning the machine was on and we were slain. People were already on the streets, complaining of neighbors and family members acting strangely.
He hesitates, his lips working soundlessly as if he can't remember, or can't say his name. How can I help?
Not your help I need. It's Harridan, shrew. Squanders her research on frivolities, then refuses to make herself useful. Runes. The runes are the last part of the puzzle. Acantha knows them. She gives them to you, and you can turn the machine off. Release our souls.
Aldhelm snarls. She wasn't here the night the machine came on, staying with her patron somewhere near. Too good to be burdened with our ignorant company. I like option 7. He has eaten people, so... Acantha knows the control words, and I don't see why I need your help.
Help. I help you, yes. You bring me the words and something to keep me strong. Then I show you a secret about the machine. Something to make you strong. Acantha was here, in Heritage Hill. Must be here still. Clever lady, that one.
He traces his fingers along the copper runes and dials, and he shivers, and he frowns. Will he accept durance? Let's try this configuration. Still nothing. Confounded device. A jagged Adra pillar rises in front of you, encased in stonework and run through with copper veins. Unintelligible runes cover the panel. Inspect the machine. A sunburst of copper filaments surrounds a dial that looks to be about twice the size of a hen's egg. The filaments cross and diverge, ending in bead-tipped nodes. Each wire has a point of origin somewhere along the edge of the dial. Runes are inscribed around the dial. Turn the dial. Nothing happens. Okay. Yeah, we're not going to feed him anybody. A winding staircase runs through the core of the tower, providing access to all levels. I'll proceed to the bottom. I need to go speak to Acantha. Yeah, I don't have a contract with that guy. I mean, I guess I could have made one. I can refuse contracts. I'm curious what it'll teach us about the machine. But is it worth my morality? I mean, I guess I've done worse for gold. That's different. Gold is something tangible, something I understand. I don't want to make an arrangement for something I have no idea. I don't know what I'm going to get out of it.
Right.
You return. What if you come seeking this time?
I saw you in a vision. There's something you need to do for me.
Believe me, I've heard that line before.
She laughs again.
It's rude to stare, you know. Don't worry. I've no mind to start anything with you. After all, I've stayed in such good shape by choosing my meals carefully.
She laughs to herself. I need the words to operate the Engwithan machine in the tower.
That fool Aldhelm. He sent you, didn't he? I can hardly believe he's had the cleverness to survive. That simpleton thinks he can understand how to use something without understanding what it is, or why it is.
She laughs, a noise that blends the crunch of dry leaves with something piercing and white hot. You feel a hot core of pride smoldering at the center of her soul.
He dabbles with ancient and powerful devices, with all the finesse of a blacksmith. He sends you here to petition me for aid after years of disparaging my research. I'll bet he didn't even tell you the tower's name, did he? That's his problem. Always looking for solutions without caring for meaning.
She shakes her head as she pokes at the fire with renewed ferocity. Tell me the tower's name.
Ter Nuneth. It's called Ter Nuneth. They built the machine atop it to contain souls, hold them in place. But the others I've seen, machines scattered all over the Deerwood, are relays, built to move souls.
Acantha closes her eyes. Her voice is suddenly soothing. She stands and turns to you, wiping parchment-dry hands on her clothes. Where would they move souls?
Another mystery. Hypothetically, anywhere they wished. The real question, as always, is why? To intermix them the way a player shuffles his deck, the way a farmer rotates his fields? To collect them, like butterflies under glass? To melt them down for raw essence? Unfortunately, I don't know.
So if the machine in the tower holds souls, has been active, how long has it been active for compared to Widewind's legacy? You seem to know a lot about Ter Nuneth.
I read the runes like a journal. I understand their meaning. People like Aldhelm try to read them like instructions, and in so doing, they miss their true meaning completely.
Why would the Engwithans have wanted to tether souls like this?
Perhaps they didn't. Perhaps that's why they built no other machines like this one. We now see the Engwithans as masters of soul manipulation, but they couldn't have attained their expertise without copious trial and error. Perhaps this was one such experiment.
How do you operate the machine atop Ter Nuneth?
Back to these tinkers' concerns. And what would you do with these tethered souls if I told you?
She crosses her arms over her unmoving chest. I'd release them.
So you say. And just what would you release them to? They'd abandon their existence here for another somewhere else, equally aimless and meaningless.
Would they not be returned to the wheel? I could help you, but I won't. The pride lodged in her soul flares up, twisting into the shape of something that writhes and squeals within her. Here I have specimens aplenty, time enough to observe them all. It's every scientist's dream. My answer is no. You're dead. Why does any of this matter? Because my research will outlive me. I have time and opportunity enough to accomplish more than any animancer in the history of the field. The pride sparks and squalls. Hoarding knowledge is pointless. The burning thing roars to life. Nothing is more important. We gather and study, and through it transcend the 1,000 insectoid lives that brought it to us. And who will know about it? The pride thing flickers as the flames around it abate. All I've learned. Years of studying the Engwithan language. No one understands it better than me. That counts for something. Your opportunities here are finite. One day, the knowledge will die with you. The pride hisses and sputters. It's little more than an ember now, so I guess every time I try this it would fail, until I cause it to smolder a little more. Where did I leave off? The pride hisses and sputters. It's little more than an ember now. You're wrong. There's no conviction in her voice. I'll build it forever. I'll cling to it. That'll give me something. Extinguish Acantha's pride. You reach for it, but it's still too hot to grasp in your mind for more than a second. It may not be much, but it's still something. You can't take that away from me. Will that really be enough for you? The dying cinder clings to life. It will. It must be. Teach me what you know. I'll make sure that it grows and your legacy lives on. Your words finally quench your pride, and all that remains is a blackened, diamond-hard rock. You cast it away, where it melts into the darkness.
So be it. My studies and efforts shall grow through yours.
Her voice is calm and quiet.
These are the words you need.
Her cold, dry fingertips rest on your temples, and you feel her reaching into your mind, forming images from the darkness. Runes flash through your head, but they're no longer just pictures. They have meaning, and you understand them. They're commands. Something triggers in your mind, a distant memory unearthed from a past life long since buried. You see a vast array of runes, far more than Acantha has shown you, and you know their sound and their meaning, and how they fit together. The language of Engwith, once more at your command.
Something has awakened in your mind. You understand far more than I ever did. Take this knowledge, then, and do what you will with Ter Nuneth. Now that you understand its purpose, it will serve you in whatever way you wish.
She retreats from you. Certainly. What do I do with the tower now that I know these words?
Turn it off, I expect. That will be easy now that you can read the runes. The vessels would still roam, but striking them down would return their essence to the cycle. But be careful. That machine controls hundreds of souls, and that volume of essence could easily overload it. Improperly channeling the essence would destroy the machine along with the souls. It would be a terrible loss for posterity.
If only we could get all the animancers together in one place, perhaps we could destroy their souls as well. You said the other towers around the Deerwood were constructed to move souls. Why would the Engwithans have wanted to do that? I've already read that. But remind me, how do you know so much about the tower? That as well. I still understand why the Engwithans would want to build a machine that tethers souls. I read that as well. Explain how the control words work. Harnessing the power of Ter Nuneth is about understanding what it was designed to do. You know the words and their meanings. You can speak them, and the tower shall obey. Well, that's all. Thanks. I'm glad that the whole releasing her prisoners thing didn't come up. I wonder if you could have sent them to Aldhelm at the top of the tower. From the frying pan into the fire. There wasn't a lot of interaction with them, and we didn't gain anything else from freeing them. Alright, proceed to the top.
Sure.
Aldhelm looks much worse than before. His rotten flesh hangs loosely, and sores have eaten away patches of skin at his joints. He looks at you with a strange glimmer in his eyes.
Flesh.
He's trying to say essence. He takes a tentative, scuttling step toward you. He doubles over, coughing up strings of black bile. He seems to have forgotten about you for the moment. A jagged Aedra pillar rises in front of you, encased in stonework and run through with copper veins. The panel is covered with runes, which you can now understand. You recognize the words for end and for hold. The dial is currently fixed on hold. You also recognize by an inscription that the manner in which you return the dial as a means of throttling the device. So I don't know what the repercussions are going to be for destroying it, so choose end. As the command words leave your lips, the dial sinks into the Adria under your hand. Something like a thunderclap sounds overhead. The glow fades from the machine as it falls dormant. A major positive.
Still and silent. It's finally over.
Should I kill him?
Still.
I think that I should. Now we got Aldhelm's journal as well. Acantha insists on pursuing her own research on the tower, despite my argument that pulling our knowledge is in both our interests. With her expertise in the Ingwithan language, I'm convinced that she knows more about the tower's workings than she lets on. Yeah, sorry, he had to go. Hopefully it doesn't play a role later. Alright, I guess the next step would be to report back to Lady Webb. And then we can leave Defiance Bay once again. I don't think I have any other quests in the city right now. We have a quest in Deerford, and I've been meaning to go there for a while anyway. Knock out exploring, looting, and conversating in another town. The tower. It's off. Does this mean the curse on Heritage Hill is lifted? He didn't mention the tower before, did he? I don't think anybody has. It wasn't a curse, but yes, the district is safe again. I think it'll be some time before anyone will be willing to settle in the district again, but at least we can get started on restoring it. Okay, I'm going to call the episode here, and the next one will return to Hadrit House, report to Lady Webb. Might go back to Caed Nua before we head to Deerford, just to rest up for free, and yeah, that's the tentative plan. But for now, thanks for watching. I hope to see you guys in the next one.